breaking news that I wanted to get to right away. It hasn't even aired yet, but Governor Steve Sisolak did an interview with ABC. It's an ABC special called Pandemic, What You Need to Know. Sisolak told Good Morning America earlier today, told anchor Amy Robach, I believe her name is, that he plans to extend the state's stay-at-home order. Now, this is actually going to air later today at noon on Channel 13. But we're already learning that Governor Sisolak has already done this interview, and he's already said that. Now, this should not come to a surprise to many people.
Absolutely not.
Let's call this for what it is, and let's be honest. I've been saying this to everyone based on the things that Governor Sisolak has said. Things were not even going to reopen. Phase 1 was not going to start on May 1st. Now, could it start? Now, again, we're speculating. Could Phase 1 start mid-May? Could it start June 1st? Sure, those are all possibilities that we could put on the table. Here's what we know for sure. Some of these businesses were not going to be allowed to reopen on May 1st. It was never going to happen, and now it's official. Governor Sisolak has made that statement. My problem with Governor Sisolak, why are you saying it on national television? Why are you saying this on a national TV show, on an ABC special? That's my frustration with him. What he should have done is he should have done a press conference for the state of Nevada, for all the members of the media, when he knew for sure that this was going to be his decision. I find it very disrespectful that the governor of our state decides to do all these national interviews, does not do many local interviews. He's not been very media-friendly. I'm going to say that about Governor Sisolak. He has not.
No doubt.
I'll say that about Mayor Carolyn Goodman. You can say what you want about her, but she has done our show. She's very accessible. Maybe that doesn't help her cause, but why would Governor Sisolak say this on an ABC national special on Good Morning America and not say it to a local paper like, say, the Review-Journal or a local ABC affiliate? I have a serious problem with that, and we all should. But that's another subject. I don't like the way they handle the media as far as the governor and his office goes. That's a separate subject. But again, all these people that are, these Facebook pages and all the protests, you guys didn't do anything. Nope. You call yourself heroes. Yep. You're going to put pressure on the governor. I kept telling you guys over and over and over again, all you dopes out there that are protesting, you're going to do nothing. The governor's not going to change his mind because we got a couple of dopes that are holding up some Donald Trump signs. Oh, geez, I better change my policies. He said it before, and he'll say it again, and you'll hear it on Good Morning America special at noon. He's listening to his experts. He's listening to the doctors, the scientists. Those are the people he's listening to, and they're telling him that it's not safe to reopen on May 1st. And you know what? I agree with that decision, Chris, wholeheartedly.
Well, let me expand on that because, obviously it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out what our major industries are here in the state of Nevada, right? It is obviously the gaming industry and, of course, all types of hospitality, whether it comes down to hotels, restaurants, tourist attractions, places that are really the driving force of the economy here in Las Vegas and here in the state of Nevada. And so it just goes to tell everybody. I don't understand why you think we would be one of the first places to open up. We are going to be on the back end when it comes to reopening the economy. We are going to be the last ones that open up as far as the major industries. Now, look, I get it. Okay, there's a lot of aspects to our society that are very similar and the same to a lot around the country that would be able to open up, say, in May. Okay, but the fact of the matter is that most of our economy and most of the establishments here are going to be in phase 3, right? And in phase 4 in some cases, depending on which phasing program you want to use, whether it's the national program or you want to use the one that Governor Sisolak here in Nevada wants to use. So this whole notion that May 1st was even an option is completely and utterly absurd, in my opinion.
So there's a lot.
I don't understand why that was even thought of or expected on any level by anybody here in Las Vegas or in Nevada.
So there's a lot of people that are listening right now. Some are going to agree with us. Some are going to disagree. And I shouldn't say us, with the governor. We have our own opinions. But the breaking news, if you're just tuning in, Governor Sisolak did an interview with Good Morning America this morning, taped, that will play at noon. And in that interview, according to Channel 13, in this ABC special, Sisolak told anchor Amy Robach that he plans to extend the state's stay-at-home order. This is not a surprise to me. It's not a surprise to Chris. Do you agree or do you disagree with this order? I agree with it for this reason. He's listening to the experts, scientists, doctors, and I think that is extremely important. This should not be a shock to anybody, but, we want to get your thoughts on that. Do you agree? Do you disagree with the breaking news and the governor's decision to extend this Nevada stay-at-home order? Open up the phone lines. We'll take your phone calls on this. That number is 702-257-5396. Again, if you want to be a part of the program, your chance to chime in. I know we've had a lot of guests the last few weeks, and we don't always take a ton of time at some point during our shows to take calls, but now's the time. Give us a buzz. What do you think about this, the latest on Governor Sisolak's decision to officially extend the stay-at-home order? Now, he hasn't given a date on that yet, from what I understand, but it ain't going to be May 1st. Again, that number to call, 702-257-5396. A
couple minor additions, too, also, Brian, to what the possible openings could be as far as the Las Vegas Strip and properties. Everybody has heard about what Treasure Island put out there as far as May 15th, possibly taking reservations then. That was a soft date that they put out there. And then yesterday, of course, we had some news that the Venetian and the Palazzo, the property basically across the street, is not going to take reservations until May 31st. So I think that gives everybody an indication of what kind of the timeline may be here. But let's be honest about this, okay? To all the listeners out there, let's be honest about speculating as to exact dates. We should not be doing that. Anybody that's not, involved when it comes to public health with the state of Nevada, or on a national level for that matter, if you're not involved, if you don't have that information, don't be sitting out there and telling your friends or telling your coworkers that there's going to be some exact date that you're going back to work, because the fact of the matter is that nobody knows.
All right, we're taking your phone calls at 257-5396, covering the breaking news. Governor Steve Sisolak, if you're just tuning in, has done an interview with Good Morning America, which will be aired actually at noon, and he says that he plans to extend the stay-at-home order, will not be opening up on May 1st. We want to hear from you. Phone lines the board is full, so let's start off with Jim. Jim, you're first up on the Vegas take. What's going on? Jim, go ahead. Jim, I cannot hear you.
I can hear your radio, though.
We'll put him back on hold. Okay, when you call in to the show, you have to be ready to go. We have a lot of people that want to call in, and you have to turn your radio down. All right, we got another Jim on the line. Jim number 2. Jim, what's going on?
Okay. Well, I happen to agree with the governor's decision to delay. I think that just by design, we're in a unique position globally. Just by the design of how we do business, we have people coming in from all over the world, and we are putting them in very, very tight quarters. And it's just by the design of the casinos. And if this is done wrong, we could end up actually being responsible for like a global springboard.
I agree.
I mean, international flights. Let's just as an example, the majority of our tourism comes from Southern California.
Jim, you are absolutely right. Jim, let me even take it a step further, and I agree, by the way, with everything you just said. Let's just say, hypothetically, a few casinos open, okay? And let's just say that some tourists from several different countries, even not even different parts of our country, but other countries come in here, and there's a few people at a blackjack table that are asymptomatic. Those people from those other countries contract the virus. We're talking about not hundreds, not thousands, but and I know it's hypothetical, hundreds of thousands of people, maybe even millions, could contract this virus because of a governor's decision to irresponsibly open up the Strip or open up some casinos. And I couldn't agree with you more, Jim. This is very, very serious. We have to be very careful about this. And I do agree with Jim. Yeah. I do agree with Jim 150%.
No room for politics in this. It has to be based on science completely.
Right.
Partisan politics has absolutely no place in this, period.
You are absolutely right. And Jimmy, thank you for the phone call. You make some good points. So this shouldn't be about politics.
I've been reiterating that, right, haven't I, Brian, for the last basically 2 weeks about the entire politics edge of this that people are using. People, it's funny how the only ones that are, bitching and moaning about recalling Steve Sisolak or attacking anybody for that matter when it comes to Democratic governors.
Well, it's absurd.
It's always based on politics. It has nothing to do with the COVID-19 pandemic whatsoever.
We prove that every day on the show. Let's get back to the phone calls at 257-5396. I believe we have another Jim on the line. Jim, thanks for calling in. What's on your mind?
Yeah, good morning. morning, gentlemen. I think it's time to do the recall today because you believe in.
Yeah, that might happen. You think that's something that could be based in reality? Is that actually
all right? Hold
something
on a
that
second.
actually happen?
Hold on a second. First of all, your name is not Jim.
No.
Your name is Brady.
My middle name's James.
Okay. All right.
Okay. So
all
your
right.
middle name's James,
All right,
but Brady. Okay. That's your
All right,
first
hold on.
statement
I
in this
got it.
phone call.
First.
Is
right.
yeah, we can recall the governor, which is never going
All
to
right.
happen.
I'm not even going to entertain that phone call
Why
because.
would you even back Sisolak?
It's not going to happen, Brady.
Democrat? Why are
Okay,
only
first,
Democrats
all right,
backing Sisolak?
have a nice day, Brady. Have a nice day. I'm not even going to entertain your phone call because you're a fool. 702-257-5396 is the number to call. We have a lot of other people calling in that I would rather speak to.
Again, I reiterate, we have Brady on all the time under his real name. He doesn't have to give a fake name.
Who cares? Let's move on. Let's go to Glenn. Glenn, you're next up on the Vegas Take. What's going on, man?
Hey, how you doing?
Good, Glenn. What's on your mind?
I'd say I agree with Sisolak for the extension. And I was going to say yesterday, J.D. gave the best example as to why we should close all the casinos. He said that he caught the virus at a convention here in Las Vegas.
Right.
Well, if he caught the virus here, think of the hundreds of thousands of people at that CES conference that were exposed to that, and they jumped on an airplane and went to hundreds of cities throughout the United States.
Glenn, you bring up a good point. Glenn, you bring up a good point because he did say that, and I hear the argument from some people on the right that think we should reopen tomorrow. Oh, this virus has been here much earlier than we thought. So what? That's a reason to open up earlier? If anything, it shows and it proves my point that the President of the United States did not act accordingly, and this virus was here when Donald Trump was holding campaign rallies. It makes my point for me, Glenn.
Exactly. The tourists are more in danger than the local people are because we don't mingle with hundreds of thousands of tourists.
Right. No, Glenn, you make a very valid point, and I will share that with JD when he decides to show up.
And you know what's evidence of that, Brian, and to the caller, you know what's evidence of that is the mitigation that we've done for 5+ weeks here in Nevada and here in Las Vegas. It's made a huge impact. That's why the number of deaths is so low. That's why the number of infections here in the state of Nevada is so low. It's because we had the stay-at-home order and the mitigation. It's been very effective. Okay, and now you don't want to take the foot off the gas, basically.
And by the way, you, again, and thank you for the call. We appreciate it. For you dopes out there that are that have been protesting, for all you dopes out there that are setting up more protests, boy, you really changed his mind. You're really doing a great job. You really put the pressure on Governor Sisolak. Wow, congratulations, guys, for taking your little Trump fingers and holding up your stupid Trump signs, thinking like you're doing something and you're a hero. Yeah, the Wayne Allen Roots of the world who want to compare being a soldier at war to driving down Las Vegas Boulevard in your cheap suit and showing off your car, making like you're doing something good, you dopes. 702-257-5396. Let's go to Steve. Steve, you're next up on the Vegas Take. What's going on?
Good morning, guys. Good show. Just want to say the legal thing about opening up, too. The governor has never mentioned this, and he won't. But a lot of companies, even though it's almost impossible to prove, and I repeat, impossible to prove, if somebody opens up a hotel and somebody gets sick, there is a legal, it isn't so much that they're going to lose money, but they're going to have to defend themselves from legal suits. So that's another reason that might be causing some kind of behind-the-scenes hesitation for these hotels. Do you agree or disagree?
I completely agree with you. I think that's one of many factors, but I certainly think that's one of them. You have to also keep this in mind. Forget about even the casinos. What if you work for a company in an office and you go into your office and it turns out that somebody in your office has the coronavirus and then several people get sick? You're telling me you can't? I mean, think about
Brian,
that.
It's not just in your office. What the caller's talking about, the casinos, it's not just the guests. It's the people that work in the casinos.
I
It's
agree.
the employees. So it's not just an office building. Like anybody that it's employed here in the state of Nevada or in Vegas, they could have a situation where they do get sick, and yes, there could be some legal claims out there, and that's something that would be obviously addressed later on.
By the way, Steve, I appreciate the phone call. I believe you called into our show yesterday and said that there was another talk show host that was talking about us. Well, guess what? we have dedicated an entire segment to that, so we appreciate you giving us that information if you're still listening. And at 10:30, we'll be addressing that issue. Trust me. 702-257-5396 is the number to call. We're following the breaking news. Governor Steve Sisolak doing a national interview with ABC saying he's extending the stay-at-home quarantine. Let's go to Ron. Ron, you are next up in the Vegas Take. What's going on?
Hey, gentlemen, how are you guys today?
Good, man.
I just wanted to be a little serious with both you guys. You're great guys, but I wanted to share with you, Brian. You know, the governor did good by shutting down the Strip, but I'm really going through a heartache because I have a few friends that I'm concerned about. And if our right is taken away to experiment with drugs, that it's this is the wrong words to say, but I don't know what to say right now. It's better than nothing. So if you're on your last leg, you're scared, you're desperate for.
Did we lose you there? I think we lost Ron. He was going so good there for a while. Sorry about that, Ron. Well, here's my response to that. I was about ready to interject. First of all, what good are your Yeah, that's what I thought. We lost him. What good are your rights if you're 6 feet underneath the ground? Everybody wants to talk about their First Amendment rights, and everybody wants to talk about the right to this. Well, guess what? If your heart isn't beating and you die of the coronavirus, what good are your rights? Why is it so hard for some of you people to understand that? You think Governor Sisolak and these politicians want everybody to suffer? You think Democrats want the economy to plummet? Do you think Democrats and Governor Sisolak doesn't have friends that own local businesses? Are you out of your frickin' mind? Of course he wants the economy back on track, but it has to be done in a safe and fair way so when people get back out there, they are not scared or that they could actually develop this coronavirus. Why is it so hard for people to understand that?
But to focus in on what the caller was kind of pointing out is that, look, we're not flying this blind, okay? We do have government agencies that regulate when it comes to, drugs that are out there that you can use as far as treatment and as far as vaccines and cures, obviously, right? And we're going through those steps right now. You don't have to take a chance with your life, okay, with something that could be experimental. There are professionals, there are public health people, and there are doctors and scientists that know what we need to do as far as that's concerned.
It's pretty simple, folks. While I have sympathy for those that are struggling financially, those that are unemployed, that might not know if they'll ever go back to work, those that might lose their business, I feel for all of you, and I've been very consistent with that opinion. Believe it or not, I'm a compassionate person, but you know who I feel more for? Those who have lost their lives or could lose their lives.
And don't even have an opportunity to get that business back, right, Brian?
Yeah. What good are your rights? All right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a quick break. More of your phone calls on the other side. Following the breaking news, Governor Sisolak has extended the stay-at-home quarantine. 702-257-5396. Again, that number if you want to be a part of the program, 257-5396. I promise we will get to all your calls on the other side of the break. You're listening to the Vegas Take, 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDAWN. All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take, Sharp and Shapiro. Today, it appears to be Wynn and Shapiro. Welcome back to the show. Lot to get to. As I mentioned, Doug Basham joining us in hour number 2. Plenty of great guests lined up for hour number 3. But we're taking your phone calls, and we're following the breaking news. Steve Sisolak doing an interview with ABC National, not local, right, by the way, which drives me nuts. Good Morning America, which will actually be played at noon today, I believe, in this ABC special where Governor Sisolak told Good Morning America anchor Amy Robach that he plans to extend the stay-at-home order, the state stay-at-home order, that is. And I don't think that should be a shocker or surprise to anybody, but we're getting your reaction, you're getting your phone calls, and apparently all those protests didn't do any good. All your Trump signs didn't do anything. I'm just telling you. 702-257-5396 is the number to call. Taking your phone calls. Let's go to Dave. Dave, you're first up here on the Vegas Take. What's going on?
Good morning. Hey, I guess what I want to say is I think we need a combination of Sisolak and Goodman. I think Sisolak has the right idea keeping the Strip closed down because we have international travelers. So I understand that. But I think he forgets that we also are a town or a city that has people who live here and need things that we could open up. I don't understand why the gun stores were kept open through this whole time. I don't understand how that's a necessity. But
it's not.
If that's a necessity, then and I went to one. I bought ammo, but I stayed 6 feet and I waited my turn. They opened the door, let one person out, one person in. Why can't these smaller stores, these mom and pop stores that maybe only have 20 customers all day come in? Why can't they do something like that for them? And that's why I think Goodman goes a little too far.
I agree. Listen, I agree with what you're saying. I agree for the most part with what you said, sir. And let me just say this. It's the problem with Republicans and Democrats in general is that they can't find middle ground, or if they do, it's very rare, and both parties are unhappy. I think that there should be some sort of middle ground here as far as policy goes. But with that being said, you're right. Carolyn Goodman.
No, but Brian, and to the caller, it shouldn't be any middle ground. I don't understand why politics comes into play here.
Well, it shouldn't.
Your ideology as a Republican or as an independent or a Democrat has no impact when it comes to a coronavirus, pandemic. There should be.
Well, Chris, here's what I mean.
I keep saying this until the cows come home.
I know that.
About we're all in the same boat. I don't understand why that doesn't reflect on everybody.
I agree with you, but I wish that the mayor could come with maybe some local business people and say, listen, we didn't understand. We don't want phase one to start until it's deemed safe. Get that. With that being said, can we go into a little bit more detail when we are ready? Can you prepare these local businesses for the new rules and regulations that are in place? I think that would go a long way to help. Don't put up a start date. I think the governor needs to stick to his guns with what he said in the past. He's going to listen to the experts, the health experts, and I'm totally cool with that. But I just feel like
But what you just described, Brian, described something that, yes, obviously they should do.
Here's
that
my
doesn't
problem.
have anything to do with Republican or Democratic ideology.
I understand.
It's something we should all do.
I understand, but I'm telling you, Republicans and Democrats struggle to even do decent things like that because of their differences, okay? That's what I'm trying to tell you. I think there is a disconnect in the city right now between some, not all, local business owners and Governor Sisolak. For whatever reason, maybe it's politics, some of these local business owners think that Sisolak is trying to ruin them. Okay? That's not the case. There needs to be some sort of, I guess you could say, conversation, some sort of dialogue to say, I don't know when we're going to be ready yet.
Okay.
I'm going to wait until my health professionals say it's okay. But when we are ready, here, I'm going to go into a little bit more detail into phase one. Here are the businesses that we will allow to open. Here are the regulations that we are going to put into place. I think that would go a long way. Let's get back to our phone calls. But it goes bound to Democrats and Republicans working together. It always does. 702-257-5396 is the number to call. Let's go to Jack. Jack, you're next up on the Vegas Take. What's going on?
Hello. I was listening a little earlier. I'm from Las Vegas. I love this city, and I hate to see it being ruined. But right now it is being ruined because there's no tax revenue. The casinos are all closed, and it's going to ruin the city. But one thing that concerns me a little bit when I heard the discussions is people are talking about lawsuits. We have to make a law that you cannot sue people over getting sick from coronavirus, because if that happens, are businesses going to be able to open? I don't think so.
Okay, let me ask you a question then. Fair enough. No, I hear you. I hear you. I hear you. That's a valid point, but let me ask you a question, and let me play devil's advocate here. What if somebody knows they have the coronavirus? They've tested positive for the coronavirus. They knowingly are going to stores, not wearing a mask. They knowingly go to work, if they're allowed to, because their bosses assume they don't have the virus. They knowingly go to work and they get other people infected. You don't think there should be any legal recourse for somebody like that is that irresponsible?
I hate irresponsibility like what you just described, but there should be no legal recourse. I'm sorry. There's not a, if you distinctions.
But, sir, let me give you a distinction. If you have AIDS, and you know you have AIDS, and I hate to make this analogy, but I'm going to, and you have unprotected sex with somebody, knowing that you can infect them with AIDS, don't you think that is a criminal act? What is the difference? If you know you have the coronavirus, and you know you're out in public, hanging out with people, going to work, coughing, sneezing, not wearing a mask, to me it's the exact same thing. You're putting people at risk. I get what you're saying, sir, and I agree. There should be some rules and regulations in place where if somebody does not knowingly know they have the virus, I completely agree with you. But do you understand where I'm going? There has to be some laws put in place and some responsibility, no?
Well, no, the trouble is there already is a law, and it has to be repealed because, in my opinion, if you allow lawsuits, it's going to just ruin everything.
All right. Well,
I feel bad about the description about the AIDS. Yeah, I think it's criminal, but, what are you going to do? You can't ruin society.
Well, I I hear you, and I appreciate the phone call. Thank you. But with that being said, I disagree with you. I think it ruins society when people know they have a virus or AIDS or whatever analogy I'm going to use and knowingly don't care about other people. I go back to the DUI thing, the DUI analogy. People get in their car, and this isn't, to me, this isn't even as bad as if you have the coronavirus. You get into your car, it's involuntary manslaughter. You're putting other people's lives at risk. You're playing Russian roulette with society. If you know you have the coronavirus or you have symptoms and you're just out there in public and you don't care, to me, that's a criminal act.
But what the people are worried about, Brian, and the callers worried about, is that we're turning into a sue-happy society.
Well, sure, right? I agree with that.
People that are just going to, have
lawsuits,
frivolous lawsuits
yes,
that'll end up being baseless. And, yes, we already have that, actually, in society right now. So I think that's kind of the direction he was thinking about going as far as that's concerned.
I know what he was trying to say.
He's trying to say, basically, he was trying to point out that we don't want to get everybody get lawsuit because,
I don't completely disagree with him.
Things like that.
I understand where he was coming from, and like I said, I don't completely disagree with him. But there are some circumstances where I think legally you have to hold people accountable. 702-257-5396. Let's go to John. John, you're next up on the Vegas Take. What's going on?
Hey, man.
John, what's up?
Boy, Steve Sisolak is a stud, man. And these clowns, these organized clowns, it's funny how Republicans always say, oh, those are George Soros' cronies. The Republicans have a whole army of these cronies, and that's what you're seeing at these protests. They're paid.
John, isn't it even more interesting, John, that a lot of these people are saying that, this isn't political, yet you don't see one Joe Biden or Bernie Sanders sign. They're all Donald Trump signs and Make America Great Again 2020, but it has nothing to do with politics.
You played that clip of Stephen Moore. He was almost part of the Fed. I mean, he's a Trump guy through and through. He was talking about some deep-pocketed guy in Wisconsin. He wasn't going to name names. But hey,
right.
the reason I called was, the guy in front of me touched on it. If you want to know the difference between Republicans and Democrats, Republicans are now lobbying Mitch McConnell to give corporations immunity. So if you return to work and you catch the virus at work and you die, you can't sue your corporation, your employer. And that's on one hand. And on the other hand, they want to be able to fire you if you don't go to work because you're afraid of catching the coronavirus at work. So, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, that's the Republican Party in a nutshell. It's all about corporate owners. It's all about the top 5 or 10%. If you're a worker, forget about it. They don't care about you at all.
And to the caller there, that's already raising its ugly head here in this country because of, we all know the stories about the meat processing plants around the country, whether it's Tyson and these other companies. There is some issues because workers are already very concerned about going back to work in those conditions and having a possibility of contracting COVID-19. And in those work conditions, it's very easy to do so. So that's something that's going to be we're going to have to take a look at very closely here in the near future.
Thank you for the call, John. We appreciate it.
Yeah.
Again, that number, 702-257-5396, following the breaking news. Governor Sisolak doing a national interview that it was taped, will be played later in the day, saying that he is extending the stay-at-home quarantine for the state of Nevada. Let's go to David. David, you are next up on the Vegas Take. What's going on?
Yeah, hey, as a business owner that is still working out here, I think we're getting ahead of ourselves. He needs to fix the unemployment problem. I know a lot of people that are unemployed, and they can't get their services. They can't get their money. They can't. The phone systems are down. They're calling hundreds of times a day. I mean, he needs to fix that first. Whenever it's going to open, it's going to open. It is what it is. But I know that my people are hurting, and we're working.
Sure.
So what about
to your point, though? To your point, though, I think it's a walk and chew gum type of situation, right? It's something where I think we should be able to make corrections as far as the unemployment situation, as well as have planning, right, as far as how we're going to reopen society, reopen the economy here in Las Vegas and here in Nevada. It's not an end-all, be-all, we have to do one thing before we do another type of deal.
No, you're absolutely right. We need to do two things at once, but he can't see.
David, I agree with you. Listen, David, listen, I criticize politicians. I don't care whether they have an R or a D next to their name, and you're absolutely right. Governor Sisolak is the leader of this state. Our unemployment benefits have been effed up since day one. People can't get through. It's unacceptable. you have to be ready, and you have to have something ready. And listen, they might make an excuse, well, nobody expected millions and millions of people to file unemployment within a week span. Well, you know what? You have to have the systems capable of doing that. That's why we pay taxes, to put money forward, to have the right programs, to help people like you, your employees, your friends. I agree with you. I'm just saying that we should, as Chris said, and as you agree, sir, we need to be able to do both at the same time. He did the right thing, in my opinion, by extending this quarantine. He has to get this unemployment thing figured out. There are people out there that are hurting, that are still not getting paid. So, listen, I'm with you, man.
Well, let's not be.
I'd just like to say one other thing.
Sure.
Capital One and Credit One have hubs for their call centers in our city. They should be helping him. They should offer to help. Stop collecting credit card payments and help the governor get the phone system straight. They should
agree. Really good points,
David. Let's be fair to the governor's office. There has been expansion. They did have an expanded call center, I believe, over 1,000 people. Well, look, I'm not talking about whether it's enough or not enough. Let's not act like he's not doing anything, though. The guy is taking steps. Yeah.
I mean, the bottom line is
information. They tell you to call the other number.
Right, exactly.
Put in place does absolutely nothing.
No, I'm with you. And listen, Dave is not the first person to tell me that. So there are issues that, just like I criticized the president for not. Well, let's just call it for what it is. I mean, the response to this pandemic was an absolute joke. I give him an F-. I also give the governor a very poor grade when it comes to unemployment benefits being ready for a pandemic. This state was not prepared for that, and it's not all his fault. But certainly you have to, as the leader, he's got to bear some of that responsibility. 702-257-5396 is the number to call. Again, the breaking news that Governor Sisolak has decided to extend the stay-at-home quarantine. If you haven't heard, he did a national interview, Good Morning America, but it was taped earlier this morning, and it'll be played at noon. So when you're done listening to the Vegas Take, you could just tune in Channel 13. 257-5396. Let's go to Drew. Drew, you're next up on the Vegas Take. What's going on?
Hey, good morning, guys. I am so up and down with all this. It's really tough for me. I'm currently working. I totally back the governor on whatever he says. If he opens up, cool. If not, and we have to find a way to deal with all this. It's really hard.
Yeah. What do you do for work, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm a vendor.
Okay.
And basically, I'm in all these stores. Okay. I do the best I can to keep,
Are you scared, sir? Are you scared because you're out in public? I understand you probably take precautions, but with that being said, I mean, do you ever worry? I mean, do you see people coughing, and do you I mean, I'm just trying to get what goes through your mind.
You're much more aware of someone coughing now. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. I mean, what goes? I want to ask you, what goes through your mind? I'm sure you're a hardworking guy. I'm glad you're still working, but what goes through your mind when you're out there in public every day? I mean, do you feel like you're risking your life doing that?
You know what? I see so many people out, and that's one of my points that I was going to get to, where Governor Sisolak is extending this, but I see so many people out.
Yeah.
I don't understand how many essential employees we have in the city.
Well, isn't that what pissed somebody like you off? Because it pisses me off, for lack of a better term. You're working, you have to do what you do, and then you see people out there, and again, I don't want to put you in a political spot, but you see these people protesting with their Trump signs, not practicing social distancing. You hear people complaining about how they can't get their hair cut and they want to get their nails done, and here you are, sir, doing your job, doing it well, working hard, putting your life on the line because you need to put food on the table. I would imagine that has to really tick you off.
It does, but now I'm starting to see the other side because it's been so long. A week ago or a week and a half ago, that guy called in and he said he had 3 children and a wife, and his wife received one check in 4 weeks. I'm starting to see the other side now, where people are like, listen, we need to do something to feed our family. So maybe the protest with them not staying 6 feet apart, that was probably wrong. Obviously, it is wrong. But maybe they're just trying to find a way to vent out, to get people to realize, like, hey, I need help. Like, this is getting to that point now where people are we're living paycheck to paycheck.
No, listen, I understand people are extremely frustrated. There are people, and by the way, I appreciate the call and I appreciate you telling your story. I understand that there are people that are, really in bad shape. They can't put food on the table for their family. They don't have any money. They don't know where they're going to get their next paycheck. There are tons of people in this city, in the state, and quite frankly, in the country. But I don't think that gives you the right to put other people in harm's way. I don't think that gives you the right to not practice social distancing. I don't think that gives you the right to go to a Trump rally, because that's what a lot of these protests are. I'm sorry, you're allowed to protest. If you want to go in your cars and you want to beep your horn and you think Steve Sisolak is going to change his mind because of that, go for it. I don't think you're very intelligent if you think that way, but go ahead and go for it. The point I've always made is that we have to be responsible people. That's what it comes down to. Regardless of your personal situation, we have to make sure that you are responsible and you're not putting others at risk.
Also, to note in the story about Sisolak, apparently he's also going to ease some restrictions on dental and certain other healthcare procedures. And then I also read from a news source that he's going to ease some of the restrictions on curbside retail pickup. So I'm not exactly sure what that means because we can already go and pick up food and things on the curb. But anyway, that's
read between the lines.
That's according to this the one source, CBS News.
Let's read between the lines. There's not a lot changing here in the next several weeks.
Also
I think we all could agree on that.
No
There's
question.
not a lot changing.
Yes.
Let's go back to the phone lines at 257-5396. Let's go to Jim. Jim, you're next up on the Vegas Take. Jim, go ahead. Did we lose Jim? I think we lost. L is next. L, thanks for calling into the Vegas Take. What's on your mind?
Yeah, hey, how you doing, Chris?
I think that was the wrong guy. We're going to L.
Okay.
L, you're next up on the Vegas Take. What's going on?
Are you ready?
Yes, sorry about that. It's not easy, L, when you do a live show from somebody's kitchen and you can't really see your board operator. It's very difficult, but we're all doing a great job.
Chris Wynn, you sound fantastic. But
Thank you.
Let me just say this much. And Brian, let me say this real quick. I really do miss getting my nails done now. It's been a while. But let me tell the people who tried for unemployment, I have some good news for them. They did change the system, and they kind of upgraded it to where you use your last name when you're going to apply. There's 3 different programs. Depending on which one you fall in, then that's when you'll probably be getting your unemployment. But it was a mess. I went through it. And I also wanted to say the gentleman who said he works as a vendor. Now, I was a driver, so I was probably at really high risk with all these different people. I did have something I got from Amazon in my car. It was like a 3-way type thing. But anyway, I knew it was risky, but I love doing it. And so we just take chances. And eventually here in Vegas, we're going to have to just get out there and take chances.
Well, you know, it's interesting what you just said. I was taking a walk with a friend of mine last night, and she said to me, Brian, what are you going to do if in 2 weeks, the governor says movies can open up and, just as an example, shopping and all that? What are you going to do, Brian? Are you going to go? And I said, boy, I haven't really thought too much about that. It certainly would be taking a risk. Probably not. But I guess in the back of my head, psychologically, it's just nice to know that they're open, just in case I wanted to.
But eventually,
yeah.
What's your timeline? I mean, you can't.
Well, it's all hypothetical, but I haven't changed my opinion on this, so I'll give it to you. But this is hypothetical, and I am not one who like some other people that think they can put a date on it. But I will give you a hypothetical, and I base this on what the comments that Sisolak has said. I believe we will start some sort of phase 1 in about a month or so. I think June 1st, around that time, he will not open up the Strip. I don't believe he'll open up casinos, but I think some local businesses will be able to open up. I think maybe 25% capacity in some of these restaurants. It's going to be a very slow process. Now, when that starts, my opinion is it'll be at least 3 months before the Strip can open up. From the day that he allows restaurants to open up with 25% capacity and probably what California is going to do as well, it's going to be several months before we have any sort of sense of normalcy, and that is assuming that this virus doesn't kill us back in the wintertime, because a lot of people are saying it is going to come back. So that's the best way I can answer that question, Al, and I guess what I'm trying to say is be prepared. We're not going to have any sense of normalcy for a very long time. If you're one of those casino dealers, be prepared. I don't think you're going to be working anytime soon. These ridiculous stuff about 6 feet social distancing in casinos, folks, it ain't going to work.
Brian, we're supposed to be opening up on Friday. What are you talking about?
Right. According to
I don't understand. I don't understand what your rationale is, my friend. How are you going that way?
Yeah, according to
Friday. It's all opening up.
If you listen to the right-wing radio, the right-wing radio hacks, that's what they'll tell you. The ones who are dopes. 257-5396 is the number to call. Let's go to Jim. Jim, you're next up on the Vegas Take.
Yes.
Yeah, Jim.
Good morning.
Yes, sir.
Good morning. I'd like you to think about reopening the Strip from the perspective of someone who has to organize a convention in Vegas. The most important thing they're going to be worrying about, and these are guys who are like sales managers and vice presidents for sales for large organizations,
yes,
is making sure nobody gets hurt.
No
and
question.
What's going to come to mind is a case that everybody in the industry knows about a small technical organization that years ago had one person who had a heart attack during their conference. That organization was sued by the widow of the person who died, and they spent tens of thousands of dollars defending against it. So what I think is really going on in Sisolak's head, and I really don't know, but I think that because he spent so much time as Clark County executive, he understands how critical the entire convention business is.
Sure.
Once the word gets out that it's dangerous to hold a convention in Vegas, either because people are getting sick or because they fly out here and then key speakers are not allowed in because they have a fever.
Right.
Everybody's going to sit on their hands and go and just do it online. So
can I add something else there? What you said about Sisolak, by the way, I agree with, sir. This idea that, well, Carolyn Goodman, she has all the connections and she knows all the owners of all these casinos, and I'm not saying this about you, sir, but these people that are saying that, you don't think Governor Sisolak has those same connections? You don't think Governor Sisolak has conversations with owners of the casino industry? Of course he does. But you know what Sisolak is doing that Mayor Carolyn Goodman is not doing? Sisolak is actually listening to the doctors, the scientists, and the healthcare professionals, not just the casino owners. And Marilyn Goodman is just...
Wait, excuse me. You misinterpret me here.
No, I'm not misinterpreting you. I'm not saying you said that. I'm just saying, I'm just giving you my frustrations.
I'm trying to make a point.
Okay. You just making a point about
Let me make one final point.
The business in the city.
Thank you very much for telling everybody to pay attention to Sisolak at noon today.
Yes.
Especially your audience. I think it's absolutely critical they listen to him.
Sure.
And for no other reason than at noon today, they will be hearing a voice other than a conservative voice.
I agree with you, sir, and unfortunately I'm up against a hard break. I appreciate your call. No, and I wasn't misinterpreting what you said. I was just kind of making my own point. It really didn't have a lot to do with what you said. But I wanted to make my own point there when it comes to Sisolak and Carolyn Goodman.